Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Thursday, May 7th, 2015. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning Five-ish. Usually on Thursdays, we are joined by the lovely and talented Steve Wiltfong, Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports. We actually had that conversation on Tuesday this week because Steve and his lovely bride are tanning themselves on the beaches of Costa Rica. So today we're going to get you people involved because I need some help. I'm going to have this be an interactive Thursday. Got a question I'm going to ask you. We'll get your opinion on it in the thread and have a little back and forth as we go here. And then we'll be joined by Bill Kurelic to answer the question he has asked more often than can I get your number? Who is the next Buckeye to join the class of 2016? Sit back and enjoy your Thursday, peeps. The NFL draft has come and gone for the year 2015. Several Buckeyes heard their names called and are off to Sunday riches and some very cool situations. Really looking forward to seeing Jeff Heuerman play with Peyton Manning. We've talked about tight end for so much here and not being involved in the offense as a receiver as much as we'd like. Very interested to see how Jeff pans out with Peyton, but I digress. Today, we're going to have a little interactive game here called the Over-Under game. With the idea of the NFL draft just passing, we're going to take a look ahead to next year's draft. There's been plenty of chatter about which Buckeyes could be picked in the first round next year. Ohio State was the first national championship team in some time to not have a player picked in the first round this year. Certainly not a sign of talent deficiency on the roster, more a sign that the talent is more loaded at the younger positions. That will not be the case next year as a bunch of guys who are draft eligible will come up. Many are projected to be first round draft picks, some aren't. That's the question for today. Over, under, how many Buckeyes will be picked in the first round of next year's draft? And we're going to set the over-under at 4.5. Meaning this, if you think more than 4 Buckeyes will be picked in the first round next year, you pick over. If you think fewer than 5 Buckeyes will be picked next year in the draft, you pick under. If you look at the national mock drafts and pick up on the national buzz, Joey Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott, Taylor Decker, and Cardale Jones are first-round draft picks on most mocks. So there's your 4. The real question is, will they get another guy into the mix? So I've identified some candidates. I checked Bax's bucket from over the weekend because he addressed this as well. I think it will be between a quintet of 5 Buckeyes looking to bust into the first round if they come out. Darren Lee, Adolphus Washington, Michael Thomas, Eli Apple, and Vaughn Bell. Because of this, as of right now, I'm going to go with the over. I think there will be 5 Buckeyes picked in the first round. I think the 5th will actually be picked before one of the other 4. I can't tell you which one yet, and that is Darren Lee, the outside linebacker from New Albany, who has been such a revelation as a starter. In an earlier conversation this offseason with an NFL scout, it was mentioned to us that when looking at tape of some other guys in the Buckeyes defense, one scout absolutely fell in love with Darren Lee, believes he is a first-round backer with his combination of size, speed, and range. Ask yourself this question. After his sophomore year, where would you compare Darren Lee to Ryan Shazier? There were certainly some things that Shazier did better, but I think Darren Lee is already better in coverage. So it's very interesting. I think Darren Lee will be picked in the first round next year. Next up is Adolphus Washington. His combination of size and athleticism, if his motor runs hot all year and he thrives without an established guy next to him, I think his profile could raise to the point that he could be a late first-round draft pick. Michael Thomas, I think, has a chance as well. Devin Smith was, of course, the 37th pick in the draft. I think that Michael Thomas is a more complete receiver right now. With Thomas, I think it's going to come down to his 40 time. He's got the size, hands, run after catch ability, durability, all the stuff you'd want in a receiver. Does he have the speed to challenge NFL cornerbacks? That's going to be the question. If he runs a great time, say 4.5, 3 or 4 or under, I think he has a real good chance to sneak in the back end of the first round. He's a more, like I said, he's a more complete receiver than Devin. What Devin has that Michael didn't, though, is an obvious NFL trait of excellence, and that's pure straight line speed. It's going to be interesting to see there. Eli Apple is interesting for this reason. He's going to step into the number 1 corner spot this year. He hasn't done that in the past. Of the guys that have come through, you've got Roby, who was just picked in the first round a few years ago. Duran Grant, a lot of people think was a sleeper as a 4th round pick to the Steelers. Apple actually has the best physical makeup of the 3 in terms of a prototype. You see guys move into the first round now based on physical abilities almost exclusively. Look at Byron Jones of the Cowboys, picked 27th overall out of UConn and really just blew up at the combine. has that 6 foot, 6'1", 200-pound frame that Apple has. As the bigger receivers become more popular in the NFL, become a guy you got to invest in. And then the last one is Vonn Bell. Bell is a playmaker. I think his lack of ideal size is going to hurt him. I don't think when drafting safeties, the NFL likes to mention the word or the number 5 to start out. I don't think he's at 6 foot, so I think being under 6 foot will kind of keep him out of the ideal size range. But he is a playmaker with a tremendous pedigree. So if he has a great year and shows, he can become the leader of a secondary, becomes a better tackler and just a more all-around playmaker. I think it's possible. So my vote is over. You need to vote in the thread below. Over, under. If you think more than 4 Buckeyes will go in the first round of next year's draft, you put over. If you think fewer than 5 Buckeyes will go in the draft, you push under. Go vote, let's chat, and stay tuned for Bill Kurelic as he lets you know who he thinks the next member of the class of 2016 will be.
On Sunday, defensive back Kareem Felder committed to Ohio State, and then on Tuesday, it was punter Drew Chrisman who committed to the Buckeyes, making 14 commitments in Urban Meyer's 2016 recruiting class. Both commitments were expected. I've been saying for quite some time I expected both Felder and Chrisman to end up committing to Ohio State. So who now will be the next Ohio State commitment? The Ohio State staff is in a great position with 14 commitments at this point and the number 3 class in the country in the 24/7 Sports rankings, and they can certainly be very selective as there is plenty of time until National Signing Day. So again, who will be the next Ohio State commitment? Ohio State fans might not necessarily like hearing this, but I think it might be a little bit before the Buckeyes land commitment number 15. I am going with wide receiver Austin Mack from Fort Wayne Bishop Luers High School in Indiana as the next Ohio State commitment. And Mack is not going to announce his decision for a month. He will announce his decision on June 7th. But again, Ohio State is in a great position of being very selective. They're not going to take just anyone at this point, and certainly the wait could be on now as the Buckeyes are in, as I have mentioned, great position with their 2014 recruiting class, and if Mack is the next commitment, the wait certainly would be worth it as he is one of the premier wide receivers in the country and a guy that the Ohio State staff has long targeted.